Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll for Saturday, September 17th, 2022. Less than 2 full weeks left of September. October 1st around the corner. The Halloween trick-or-treaters are getting itchy, and I know our co-host, his other half, that's her favorite holiday. And so Scotty's getting his trick-or-treat, his jack-o'-lanterns, his witches, and his brooms and everything ready there. So we can't wait there. Last night, the ECSI VIPs 1-0, just one. Padres run line, 12-3 box to wire. 4-1 now this week, 5 games. And that's with Monday off. So we're going with the quality over quantity. Obviously, we have about 100 games on the slate. We're going to talk about them, see what Scotty sees today. Maybe talk a little MLB. There is a playoff race going on in a few of these divisions. And then Scotty will not be on tomorrow. I don't know if he has any NFL. We're 58 minutes away from kickoff here. I know everyone watching and listening has game day on with Lee, Kurt, and all those other guys. So if you are tuning in and watching us, thank you. We are much, much appreciated. So without further ado, let's bring him in from the Palm Tree State himself, the one and only Mr. Scott E. Webb. Morning, Scott.
Morning, Jeff. It's Saturday, and Halloween's right around the corner. I had to go out and trim up all the hedges and the bushes and all that stuff because it's been raining, and the guys that normally do it, they're like, it's raining, so I'm not going to do it. So I was like, shit, I got to put Halloween shit out pretty soon. So I had to go out and clean the bushes and do all the nice fun stuff and get the driveway pressure washed, and my body hurts.
Tough getting old, huh?
Well, but it's all right. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, no, yesterday I gave out what I do. I gave out Florida State on here, right? And then I also said Air Force, and they showed up like a banana. So was that 1-1 with that? And then I lost my baseball play. It was 8-7, I think. Seattle got beat, but whatever. On the Saturday, there's a lot of things going on today, and it's not necessarily the best board in terms of top 25 action, but I think there's a lot of plays out here.
It's funny. You and I have been in these lanes together. Let me see. We're at the end of this year on January 1st. We'll start our 8th year here publicly at ECSI. You and I have been joined at the hip 6-7 years at least, from a conversational standpoint in the last 5 years as well. Saturdays are considered the day in my eyes, meaning we grind Monday through Friday. In the fall, I think it's a lot easier to pinpoint and work on the individual singled out games in the NFL on Monday night and Thursday night. Saturday is our day to shine. You got 100 games. You got 1,000 different ways. That's a little exaggerated, of course, to bet these games, whether it's, full game spreads, money lines, under overs, team totals, first halves. If you're into the in-game second halves. So this is our day. We start the week ourselves here at 4-1. We're plus about 3 units. I got about 5 games right now. We'll probably end up sending out 3 later this afternoon. If we go 3-0, and then we have a 7-1 week, the last 2 Sundays, Scotty, 3-0 plus 20 units, and 2-1. We're plus about 9 units last week on our parlays. So big day for us here. I don't want to say we're playing with house money, but we have some potential good swings here.
Well, there's in my opinion, there's a lot of stuff out here. So, you just got to be good about what you're selecting, and you got to be a little bit cautious to what we're doing. We had a show yesterday about the NFL, and one of the things we talked about in the NFL was, week 2 is different than week 1, and this is going to be week 3 or week 4 now? Shit, I don't know. 0 counts or not, I don't know. But this will be the 3rd game for most of these teams, and the truth of the matter is some of the teams haven't played anybody yet, so that you don't have a certain view of who they are. But I would tell you that you should start be rounding into what you think these teams are, because after about 4 games, they are who they are. Now, that doesn't mean they don't match up to other teams, and they don't match up strengths and weaknesses, and you can't find the opportunities to play. But it's not where one team starts off and they're like 0-2, and then they go 0-3, then they go 0-4, and then all of a sudden they win all the rest of their games. That doesn't happen very often. If the talent that they're, some of those teams, some of the little schools play the big schools, and they might go 0-4 or whatever, and then they could rattle off some games. But you got to know what you're doing to a degree with some of this stuff. And there's, I think, some interesting spots here. Like when you look at Purdue and Syracuse, I think everybody and their brother has been betting Syracuse today. Because that game opened Purdue as a favorite, and now Syracuse is the favorite. Now, okay, granted, they're small favorites moves, but still, if you're going to do stuff like that, I don't think today is the right time. If you didn't bet that already, don't bet it now, because if you're going to bet it now, I think you're getting the worst of the line. So. You should always try to get the best of the line. That doesn't mean that everything's based on CLV, because it's not. But if your time has passed, move on to the next one. There's, like you said, there's 17 million games out here, so why worry about that one? Just because you look on the internet and there's 33,000 people playing on Syracuse, you feel like you missed out. Don't do that.
I talk about this at length about game day being on in the background, okay? And I have Don Best to the left, I have Wager Talk to the right, and I can tell when these guys are giving out games because these lines are moving instantaneously, and it's kind of comical. Kirk's on one side, you get a Joey Gallo, whoever the guests are, whatever Lee Corso puts on the hat, whoever's the mascot, and it's just comical. I talk about Friday and don't be the pizza man. I talk about the fact that people wake up hungover, all pissy after they lost a boatload on Friday, but they get rejuvenated because of such a big board, a kid in the candy store, and they got to fire at the noon games. It's 5, 6, 8 games. I got to get the day started on the right side. Well, when you lose the 12, 12:30, 1 o'clock games, now you're chasing even more. And for us here, I'm so glad you brought that up. I am a firm believer of trusting the opening number. So if people don't have time to do their due diligence and homework, you talked about Purdue opened up -1, 1.5. Well, now Syracuse -2, 2.5. Well, now everyone's going to say they missed the Purdue opened up the favorite. They're going to see Syracuse -2, 2.5. I got to get Syracuse. The whole world's on Syracuse. Final score 28-27 Purdue, where the opening number was spot on, and everyone chasing the bag, the money, the steam, whatever you want to call it, was on the wrong side, and they paid a hefty price.
Well, that's the whole point, right? That you just when a number gets away, that's just eliminate the board. Just cross that one out. It's like, okay, I don't know a whole lot about New Mexico State. Okay, great. Cross that one out. Well, this Purdue game, where if you liked Syracuse, it's too late. Don't be betting that game. Scratch it out. Go to the next one. That's how you do this, and then you can get way more selective. So that then takes your 13 games you want to bet and puts them into better perspective, right? I mean, that takes them down to, okay, well, I can't do that one. I can't do that one. I can't do that one. Okay, great. Now let's do the ones we can do. And then all of a sudden you got your card. And then you go, oh, I feel pretty good about that. And you're convicted when you go to the window and you bet your money and sit back and eat your hot dogs with sauerkraut and mustard. And, you just go from there.
Scotty, we got a huge slate. What I'm going to do is basically turn the board over to you. Talk about what you're seeing, what your leans are, what you've already played. Get the people set up. Again, we got a full day. This is our one show here together, you and I here, to get them ready for Saturday, number one. Number two, for the afternoon and evening. And again, we can close out with some MLB talk. If you have no MLB, you didn't even bother to look, that's fine. You might have an NFL lean for Sunday or whatever. But I'm going to just put the stage on you and go at it. How's that sound?
It's no problem. So, Cincinnati, Miami goes at the first one on the board, right? That's 109, 110 rotation number, goes at noon. That game opened 9.5 or 19.5. I'm looking at pregame, by the way, 19.5, and it says it's up to 24. 75% of the money is all on Cincinnati. So again, these are one of these spots where, you look at it and you go, okay, well, the numbers show that EPA wise, Cincinnati's 74th, Miami's 105th. So that's a pretty good advantage for Cincinnati, but is it 24 points worth? I don't think it is. So I would lean on the Miami Ohio team here. I wouldn't play them unless it got to 24.5, 25, something like that. But I think that you're in a spot here. Now, the next one was UConn and Michigan. That's minus 47.5. I didn't play that game. That's just, if you're going to do anything like that, in my opinion, you want to take the 47 points. And UConn's been playing a little better. Purdue, Syracuse, I talked about that one already. Everybody and their brothers on Syracuse. And numbers-wise, EPA, Purdue ranks 43rd and Syracuse 46, by the way. So it looks like both offenses have edges here in that early game. So I stayed away. Rutgers and Temple. Rutgers have been playing pretty well, and they have a really big edge here. And the number went from 16.5 to 18. So when it crossed 17, and people are still betting into it at 17.5 and then 18, that tells you a little bit about where the market thinks this game is going to be. I think Rutgers is the right side. That's a lean. I didn't play it. 83% of the money showing up on Rutgers, but it's not a real big, heavy bet game. So I stayed away. The total's really low, 42.5. I think it opened at 44.5. So people like that. And Temple, there's 131 schools. They're 126 in EPA, so that's not very good. Looking at Texas State and Baylor, that's the next game. Now, I played this game, and this is Baylor coming off their loss to BYU. They're a home favorite today at 30 points. That looks like 72% of the money's on Baylor, and showing $140,000 bet on the game. Now, Texas State ranks 29th in EPA. On offense, they're 35th. On defense, they're 37th. Baylor ranks 59th in EPA. And if you don't know what EPA is, stands for it's extra points added. And that's a good measure that I use for college football teams. Anyway, that being said, they're looking at 58 on offense, 60 on defense. So, and they're getting 30 points. Now, that doesn't mean Texas State's the better team. It means that Texas State and the opponents that they've played have played them much better than what Baylor has. So I expect Texas State to hold their own and stay within that 30. So I played Texas State plus 30. That's game number 1 I played. Now, game number 2 is Western Kentucky and Indiana. Now, I haven't been impressed with Indiana at all. Now, Western Kentucky is another team that has played a Patsy Cake marshmallow schedule. So we're going to find out a little bit about who Western Kentucky is today. But they rank 18th in EPA. But what I liked about where they're at is defensively, they ranked 16th. And Indiana ranks 94th in offense. Now, granted, they played Illinois, so Illinois got a pretty good defense and shut them down for most of that game. They had to come back, though, against an FCS team last week. They were down 10-0 at halftime. Had to battle back in the second half to actually win. Obviously, they didn't cover. But so in this one, you've got Indiana's favored by 7. Now, I took Western Kentucky plus the 7. Now, one of our cohorts, and I wouldn't call him a cohort, he's a famous guy, Ed Raz from Raz, on the covers release today, released Indiana minus 6.5. So I'm kind of going against that number, and that's okay. That would be another topic that I would tell you to be careful of is following the crowd, right? You see those little drawings sometimes when they're all written out, and they see these little guys and they're all walking, following a crowd. Be the one that walks off to the right-hand side, the one that's all by themselves. You're going to find yourself with that kind of an opinion better in most cases than others in terms of chasing the dollars, but we'll see. I played the Hilltoppers today plus the 7 points. I don't really like Indiana very well. Offensively, they rank 94th. They rank 113th at rushing the football. So I kind of like the idea that Western Kentucky can battle this game. And I don't think there's a big home field edge in Indiana. So I'm on that one. Georgia plays South Carolina today. Georgia, the number 1 team in the country. Georgia's minus 25, opened at minus 23.5. It's up. It was 24.5 for a while. $350,000 bet on this game. 75% of the money on Georgia. These are conference games, and it's a conference home game for South Carolina. Now, Georgia is the much better team. Don't get it wrong. But that's more than 3 touchdowns that Georgia has to beat South Carolina by. They got to beat them by 3 touchdowns and more than a field goal now. So that's 4 scores. Can they do that? Sure, they could do that if they really went out there and played their A game and South Carolina doesn't show up. But and there's big EPA edges here too. I mean, Georgia is ranked 2nd in EPA, 72 for South Carolina. So that's a huge difference. But the point spread kind of matches that. So I just stayed off of this one. I think Georgia would be the side to kind of lean on. But at the same time, I tell you that, this is the SEC. South Carolina's a good football team that's trying to turn things around. And not sure they're going to show that very well against Georgia. So I stayed off of that one. I did play the next one. This is
I'm going to interject right there because I thought something. Again, every sports book is different, and I wanted to really get a good gauge on this one because I thought this one, that Georgia South Carolina game, obviously Georgia is a lightning rod, defending NCAA champs, slighted when the season started as Bama was the number 1 team in the land. Well, after Bama struggled in Texas, Georgia, who has outscored its opponents a bazillion to nothing, leaps to the number 1 spot. And I'm first going to praise Georgia again. Probably won't be the last time either. They lost literally their whole defensive squad. And we talk about rebuilding and reloading. Well, obviously they have. They're just as fast as they were last year. Offensively, we thought some holes. My point here is this, Scotty. I think 24 is the key number on that game. But DraftKings last night, I thought this was really intriguing, had a team total for South Carolina of 14.5. Now, when people see 14.5 and against a Georgia defense, the first thing they're going to do is run to the window and bet under because it's going to take 15, 16, 17, and no one scored on Georgia yet this year. I look at Wager Talk and it's juiced 14 under minus 130. So I wanted to ask you personally, am I crazy to think that South Carolina gets to 15 or 17 today?
No, I think they do. When I looked at this game, the reason that Georgia, EPA wise, just looking at them, is so good is because of their offense. We talked about they lost a lot of their defense. They ranked 78th against the run. They ranked 52nd against the pass. They ranked 58th overall in EPA on defense. That's not what a normal Georgia team looks like on defense. And they rank number one on offense. They rank 7th running the ball and first throwing the ball. So they're going to score points. The question becomes is how many points can South Carolina score? So I think that 14.5 and your eyes on that spot are very good in a sense that I do think South Carolina can score more than 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
I certainly wouldn't say easily, but I would say yes. I think they're going to score, when the final score comes out, maybe they get a short field one time and score a touchdown, and maybe they make one drive and they get another touchdown, and somewhere down the line they kick a field goal. So I don't think that's an unreasonable ask of that team.
All right. I'm going to let you go on because you got a game coming up now.
Yeah, well, Oklahoma, Nebraska is a game I played. And I know everybody's, talking about Scott Frost and not being there. This game opened Oklahoma minus 14. It's down to 10.5. The total was 63 at it open at 65. I played it at 66. I played this game under 66. And the reason I played this game under is because when you look at both of these two schools, Oklahoma on defense, they rank 36th in EPA, and Nebraska 33 in EPA. But Nebraska's offense is 99th, so they haven't been moving the football real well, unless, until they get that crazy spotty time that they have to. And Oklahoma ranks 5th moving the football. So I think you have 2 defenses here that can keep the scoring limited to a certain degree. And if you kind of look at this game and you go, okay, well, what if it's like 32-30? Okay, great. It's still under 66 points, and they both scored 30 points. So that's what I was looking at in this particular game. So I played Oklahoma and I played Nebraska under 66. I think you can still get it at 65, 65.5, which I'm okay with. So I think that's a defensive battle in Nebraska. And you got a defensive-minded head coach. There was a defense coordinator at Clemson over there in Oklahoma. So I kind of like that game that way. Buffalo and Coastal Carolina is one of those games that for whatever reason, numbers are moving around like crazy. This game opened up at 18.5 for Coastal Carolina. 18.5. It's now 12.5 for Coastal Carolina. Everybody and their brothers on Buffalo. Buffalo ranks 109th in EPA. They rank 119th out of 131 schools on offense. It's not very good. Coastal Carolina ranks 62. They are 13th on offense, 117 on defense. So a terrible defense versus a terrible offense, and Coastal Carolina has a pretty good offense against an average Buffalo defense. So maybe the thought is that Coastal Carolina won't score that many points, but I think they will. I don't agree with this move, and especially at this price. You're looking at 12.5. You're way under key numbers, under 13. I wouldn't mind Coastal Carolina as a lean at 12.5. I didn't play it just because I don't want to go against that because maybe I'm missing something. Sometimes that's what you have to do too. But I don't agree with that big of a line move. Now, if it was 18.5 still, and I've got those kind of numbers, maybe I would say, okay, well, those are key numbers. We're moving beyond. And I kind of like the Buffalo side, but not right now. I mean, Buffalo is not very good. Ohio plays Iowa State. Was 21.5. Now it's 19.5. I don't like Ohio very well either, and that's because they don't score. So if you can't score against a Big 12 team, I think you're in trouble here. But you're going to need, 3 touchdowns here. So I think the line's probably right. So I just left that one alone. Ranking wise, Ohio is 92 on EPA and Iowa State is 22. So that's a big variance. And where the biggest variance is that Iowa State plays really good defense, and it's really good defense against the pass more than anything else, and that could be just because of who they played so far. But I don't like that number at where it's at, so I just stayed away from that one. Old Dominion in Virginia. This is holy crap. If you want to watch paint dry, watch this game. This is a bad game. You've got 101 Old Dominion against 106, Virginia, and both of them play defense. Neither one of them plays offense. Old Dominion 120 in offense, Virginia 121. Old Dominion 28 on defense, and Virginia 48 on defense. So if you were looking under here, that wouldn't surprise me any. But the under's coming down. It opened 53. It's down to 52.5. Virginia was open minus 11. Now they're minus 8. I'm sure Virginia has better talented players, but I wouldn't play Virginia in this game. If I was going to do anything, I would say it was going to be 20 to 20 kind of type of game. Maybe 27-20. Like an under looks like a pretty good spot here. I didn't play it that way, but South Alabama plays UCLA today. This is one of those spots where I think a lot of people like UCLA. 13.5 moved up to 15.5. Not much bet on it compared to some of the other ones. 89,000 is what it's showing here. 66% of the money's on UCLA. I think it stayed under that 17 number. It was 16.5 when I put this stuff together this morning, and now it's showing 15.5. So people are going now against UCLA. I think if I could have got it at 13.5, I would have been on UCLA. But now that it's 15.5, 16, 17, you gotta get to. I'm not going to go there. UCLA ranks 9th in EPA, by the way, 4th in offense, which is really good for them. 59th in defense, which is a much, much more improved defense than what they've shown in the past. But South Alabama, Jeff will tell you this. Last year we talked about South Alabama. I don't remember who they played, but it was one of them Thursday night games. And they were getting points, and they outright flat won the game. They are 32nd in EPA. They rank 60th on offense, 45th on defense. So they're playing pretty good defense. Both teams struggle to stop the run on defense, and UCLA can run the football some. So it looks to me like UCLA is probably in pretty good shape here. However, we're also talking about, I think Pac-10 probably starts next week. So I didn't look at who they play next week, but it's kind of a weird spot. California, Notre Dame. This one's interesting because handicappers that have done this for a long time, they're going to go back on history and they're going to go, well, holy shit, it's a bounce back spot for Notre Dame. And you know what? They said that last week too. It's a bounce back spot for Notre Dame. They're going to go out there and kick the shit out of Maryland. Marshall. That was a best bet for a lot of these guys. And guess what? Now they're doing the same thing again this week. What I'm going to tell you is that's good thinking in a lot of ways, because that's what history tells you. So you kind of want to follow that to a degree. But you also got to know who you're dealing with. This is a head coach now for Notre Dame, hasn't won a football game. He's coached 3 games. He hasn't won any. He played the bowl game last year and played Ohio State and Marshall. Got beat every time. So now they're going to be favorites here, and people think they're going to do even better. I showed 12.5. It's now up to 13 for Notre Dame. Tell me why Notre Dame should be a favorite in this game at all. They 102 in EPA, 100 on offense, 85 on defense. California is not that good, but at the same time, they rank 42nd in EPA, 46th on offense, and 40th on defense. So they got an advantage on offense. They got an advantage on defense, plus they're getting 13 points. Give me California. Now, I took California, but the way I did it a lot of these games, I'll play full unit or I'll play half unit. I played California for half unit. Just because there is some history here going back saying, hey, look, this may not be the right thing to do, but I'm taking California because Notre Dame hasn't proved to me anything. Their quarterback got hurt last week. Their best thing that they had going for them was defense for a long time, and they rank 83rd stopping the run, and they rank 76th stopping the pass, so that's not good. They rank 95th running the football and 107th throwing the football. So if you're going to tell me that that kind of team can be a 12.5, 13-point favorite over a Power 5 type school, we'll see. Jeff, that takes us right up to the 3 o'clock, 3:30 games. I don't know if you want to add anything or if you want me to keep going.
No, I think you're spot on a lot of your analysis. Again, the hardest part, I think, for people to understand in these lanes is keep the mental part of it out of it. When we start trying to expect, well, this team's 0-2, therefore they got to win the game. Well, Vegas sets those numbers up. There's nothing better than when we talk about the NFL. Well, this team's 0-1. There's no way they're starting 0-2. I mean, there's 4 10-point spreads there. When you have a slate that's this deep, and again, we're in week 4/week 3 of the college ranks. You brought up a great point. Notre Dame, they haven't won yet. I mean, you would assume, that after what happened last week, that their ears would be pinned up like a Rottweiler or whatever you want to say. But these numbers are equated to these thought processes. So the way you're diving into these, I think you're spot on. I brought up the South Carolina. I just did some quick shopping around. That's why I left the screen, for instance. There are some 14s up there, again, juiced under. DraftKings hasn't budged from that 14.5. So to me, again, I think South Carolina gets to 15. They'll probably get to 17. Again, like you said, it might not be easy. Don't forget, this is Georgia's first road game as well. So I'll be really interested there. But no, you can keep going.
All right. So kind of the middle of the day stuff. Maybe I should just recap what I did. In the beginning stuff, I did Western Kentucky +7 for a full unit. I did Oklahoma, Nebraska under 66 for a full unit. I did Texas State +30 for a full unit. And I did Cal +13 for a half unit. Those were my bets in the early stages. Now the 3 o'clock window, I got much less. So North Texas UNLV, I'm just going to skip that game. I don't know that anybody wants to talk about that one, but my numbers don't reflect UNLV well because they don't have the right teams that they've played yet. Tulane and Kansas State is another one that's very similar to that, so I skipped that game. And New Mexico State and Wisconsin, I didn't play that one either. So those 3 games I'm not really going to talk about. So if anybody wants to talk about those games or hear me talk about those games, you better ask Jeff because I didn't do much with that one. But Penn State Auburn, kind of interesting combination of schools here. I kind of like the idea that I think both of these teams are a lot alike. You got Penn State ranks 45th in EPA and Auburn ranks 47th. So I don't think you got an edge when it comes to that. And on offense and defense, it's even just as close. 59 for Penn State on offense, 58 for Auburn, 61 for Penn State on defense, and 52 for Auburn. So if anything, where I thought there might be any kind of sort of edge would be with Auburn on defense. And, Auburn's getting points at home now. So, and I think a lot of that has to do with the quarterback. So, Penn State's quarterback's been there 17,000 years, I think. And the kid for Auburn is trying to find a way, and, they're trying to establish a program there. And when you start to look at the numbers, you got $218,000 bet on this game at -2.5 for Penn State. 60% of the money's coming in on Auburn, but the number hasn't moved. So that tells me that they don't really care that the Auburn money's coming in. and maybe that they don't need to put it to 3, because if they put it to 3, they might get more than what they want there. So it's a line freeze, as Jeff would say, and I think it's a stay away game for me, because I don't see the value between the two teams. Now, I have seen a lot of people on the Twitter world and the other worlds that they like Penn State in some of these games, and then some of these guys also like Auburn. So it's kind of a toss up. So Vanderbilt, Northern Illinois. This one's.
I'm going to interject right there because first, I haven't talked to him in a while. He sent me an email, Mr. Bill. If you are listening, thank you so much for the email. And I have held the email. I'm not going to obviously be shipping this out to anyone. I'm actually going to forward to, as you said, to Mr. Bill and to Mr. Scotty and Riley as well. They can take a look. Mr. Bill's been doing some work. He's college football and NFL is his cup of tea. And so he sent me some information stuff. Some great notes there, Bill. Thank you so much. Keep up the great work. Glad you're enjoying the ECSI VIP experience. With that said, Scotty, my question to you about the Penn State Auburn game is SEC lightning rod. We all know they dominate the ranks of college football. Yet Vegas opened up Auburn an underdog here. Now, I know some sharps came in and they took the Auburn price tag. They don't think that they're not just going to cover, that they're going to win the game outright. My question to you, obviously, is if they wanted the Penn State money, they would have opened this up at a pick'em, or they would have opened up Auburn -1 or 2. Yet Penn State is favored. Based upon your analysis, the way you break down the game, should Penn State have been the favorite to start this game at Auburn?
I think that tells you that if they played in a neutral site, that the Penn State would be 5-6 point favorites, because it's this Auburn, man. I mean, they're going to have good SEC culture. They're going to have a good crowd there. So I think my opinion basically is that the quarterback for Penn State is either going to win this game or he's going to lose this game for Penn State. That's what's going to happen. And my thoughts are, I'm not betting on that kid at all. I would never want to bet and have my money riding just on that quarterback. So I like Auburn in the game. I like the points in the game, but I do understand exactly what you're saying. Is hey, look, if they really wanted Auburn money, why did or Penn? If they wanted Penn State money, why wouldn't they make it a pick'em or something? So they're getting Auburn money. I mean, 60% of the money is on Auburn. So, or at least what I'm showing on pregame. So I don't know if you have different type of numbers than I've got.
No, I'm seeing the same thing you are.
So the also, I think this is a lower scoring number. I mean, it's 47.5 now, I think. So, when you start to think about that score, that's what is that, 24 to 23 or 22, 24 or something. So, I mean, that's not very many scores. And turnovers can be a big factor in this game. And so when you start to think about those kinds of things, that a quarterback that's been around for 17 years, like Penn State's quarterback has, I say that only because I think this is his 6th year or something. He's like 24 years old, and all these other kids are out there 19. So, it's one of those spots, but I still would say, okay, well, if the NFL don't want him and he's just hanging around at Penn State, he's just tying up a spot for somebody else, but they better recruit some damn quarterback in there, because, if you can't beat out this guy, holy crap, you're in trouble for next year.
No, I agree. What are you seeing later on?
Let's see. So BYU, I just get the games I played here. I played BYU against Oregon. I got 4 points. That's 151, 152. It's, I think, bouncing back and forth. That game opened -4. It went down to 3, went down to 3.5. I got it at 4 earlier this morning. So what I'm looking at is Oregon ranks 125th, and that's not very good. They haven't really probably ever ranked that low in a long time in EPA. And ideally, it's their defense. and BYU ranks 33 on offense. So they rank 23 altogether, and I get it. BYU just beat some of these other teams, and they're playing very well. But I think BYU is a top ranked, one of the top teams that going right this second. So, and I don't think that Oregon is showing me much. So I like the idea here that I can get points with BYU. I don't think BYU is going to be, how do you say this, intimidated by playing on the road at Oregon. They play all those kids in Oregon, Utah, in that area. They all know each other. They're all kind of the same ethnicity and background and all that. So I think they're not going to be afraid of that team, and I don't think Oregon has the speed that they used to have. I think Oregon State's probably better than Oregon.
My question on that game, I look at computer models at a 54 with a 57.5. There opened up. I'm going to say it opened at 3. They're saying 4. Here is 3. It's gotten pushed to 3.5. BYU in an absolute battle last week, correct? They finally won that game. I'm not going to be in this game, but we go back to week 1 and the shellacking that Oregon took against Georgia. They get the layup game to get to 1-1. If you were going to dive into this game, thinking about what BYU went through last week, and to now come into Oregon, it's a 3:30 start there. Would you be enticed on an Oregon first half play there?
Maybe. I would have to really go deeper, and this is one of the things I didn't do yesterday that cost me in that game against Air Force. I didn't know, so shame on me for not doing enough homework. I didn't know Air Force had got sick that week. They were sick. They didn't even hardly have enough guys to practice most of the week. They had 5 starters not play last night. 2 of the running backs that were accountable for a lot of their yardage, and that pissed me off. So I was like, "Damn it, Scott, you should do better than that." And that's what happened to me, and that's what happens, right? So in the BYU case, I don't care if they played a tough opponent or they played a bang-up game, as long as they got healthy guys coming out of it. And as long as those guys are healthy coming out of it, I can look real fast. Let me see. Because when I looked at this stuff earlier, I didn't see too much of an issue there. But where's my football gaming? And I think it's down here at the bottom. I gotta find my.
Yeah, as you're finding that, I'll look. I'll just tell you. First, it's a 3.5. First half, Oregon's -2.5 on the money line, -150. Again, right on that number that, especially if you're having a good week. I hate to be throwing out 150s, 145s, but I think Vegas is thinking the same thing as me here, is that you might get a stronger performance from Oregon after the long week that BYU put in the trenches last week. So
BYU showing no one on the injury report. And Oregon is showing an offensive lineman who's out. He's managing some unspecified issue and will not face BYU on Saturday. That's the report we got out of that game. So yeah, kind of interesting, some of that. And maybe it's because some of these teams didn't report stuff either, because I'm not seeing Air Force showing a bunch of stuff on here either, but I just missed it, and I was not happy that I missed it. So I've turned on the game to watch it, and that's the first thing they talk about. Oh, shit! It's a good thing that these guys got players to get here, because they got 16 million guys got sick last week and all through practice, and they didn't. They got the cheerleaders out there running plays.
Well, I kind of knew early. I didn't watch any of the game. I was trying to get this card together. But I knew when it was 10-0 that it was going to be a long day for Air Force.
Oh, they didn't even look good. Now that Vanderbilt Northern Illinois game, I got to lean on this game. I didn't play it because I think the number's getting away. Let me look at that. number for a
It's
second.
2.5. 2.5 and 59.
What's the total?
59.
59. And
There
see that
are a
team.
couple 58.5s out there.
I'm probably going to do this as a half unit play. So Vanderbilt on offense ranks 32nd, and Northern Illinois on offense ranks 18th. It's pretty good. Vanderbilt on defense ranks 88. It's not so good. And Northern Illinois 116. I think these guys go up and down the field today. I have a pretty good lean here. And shit, while we're right here, I might as well just play it. Northern Illinois, I guess got to find it now at Bookmaker here. There it is. 58.5. We're going to go over 58.5. And we're just going to put a half a unit on there and play it. Done. Okay, so anyway, I liked that game because I think Vanderbilt, Northern Illinois, Illinois ranks or Vanderbilt 61st in EPA, Northern Illinois 60th. So I didn't see value on that side, and the line says 2.5. It's kind of interesting that an SEC team's an underdog to a MAC team, right? But as I looked at this and kind of played it out, I'm like, these teams are going to score. They're going to go up and down the field. Colorado and Minnesota. I don't know how you can bet on Colorado ever, but now this is 4 touchdowns. So I just stayed away from 4 touchdowns. Why does Minnesota really want to go beat Colorado by 5 touchdowns? I don't know. Maybe Colorado doesn't show up, but at some point Colorado is going to make some adjustments. Mississippi, Georgia Tech, I thought was a good spot for Mississippi, but at the same time, the number's 17 now or something like that, right? No, it's only 12. What do I have for that game? There it is. 17. So, that game opened at 14.5, bet up to 17. People are still betting on Mississippi. And, Georgia Tech has a good defense. They don't have any kind of offense. So I just left that one off the table. And then if there's I did make one other play at this time frame. I bet, and I know this is going to be one of the things that most people wouldn't do. App State just beats Texas A&M, and they're they're in a letdown spot because they're going to now play Troy. I played App State. App State has played Troy for years, and over the last 3 games, the average margin of victory for App State's 37 points or something like that. And I got them at minus 13.5. Troy ranks 104th in EPA, on offense 102, on defense 91. And it's not that App State plays defense; they're 31st on pass or on offense. So I don't know how Troy stops them unless App State stops themselves. And I get it; it's all fired up over there because they got the game day crew there and all that stuff. But I just don't think this is the right opponent that's going to be able to take advantage of App State, and especially in App State. So I played that game, and then I skipped everybody else at the 3:30 window. In the evening games, there's 2 games I'm thinking about. I haven't done yet. I'm thinking about Mississippi State against LSU. I like Mississippi State this year. I think Mississippi State's going to be really strong. LSU, I don't think is as strong. But that being said, Mississippi State can play defense. LSU so far has shown they can't. So I'm thinking about that minus 2.5. I just don't trust Rick Leach or Mike Leach. I'm sorry. He's a guru kind of guy, and he's in his 3rd year, which is when he really excels as a head coach. And they're doing that. But we'll see how that number comes around. So I'm thinking about that one. The other one I'm thinking about is USC tonight. I'm waiting for that number. I think that number's coming down. USC is they were 14 down to 11. At some point I saw it at 10.5, maybe got back up to 11. If I can get that number to 10, and I don't know if it'll get that far down, but if it gets to 10, I'm going to ride USC. USC's offense is as good as anybody's. And, of course, they don't play much defense. And Fresno State's one of those teams that can't score. They are they are a team that over the past has not had a great offense. Now they're showing 29th in EPA this year, and they're showing 108th on defense. So you got the 8th ranked offense against the 108th defense, and they only got to cover 10, and they're at home. Okay. I kind of like that spot. So I'm waiting. I'm going to see how my day goes. If my day goes halfway decent, I'll play that one. I did play the only game I played in the late night game slate. I played Arkansas State at Memphis. I took Memphis minus 14. I got Memphis as the 44th best EPA team and Arkansas State as the worst EPA team in all of college football. So they're 119th on offense, 126th on defense. And I took Memphis to beat them by more than 2 touchdowns.
Interesting afternoon and evening slate. My eyes, Scotty, from the past, I couldn't pick a total if my life depended on it. I like to say if I had Biff's Almanac and I had tomorrow's sports section, that I still would not pick the winner. There's one total that stands out to me. There's a couple 70, 71, 72s out there this week, which is mind-boggling. But when I saw this, when I look at it, a game, and I'm like, whoa, what am I missing? It's almost like the Pats being favorites this week in Pittsburgh. I looked at this total, and especially with these two teams, and I'm like, excuse me? And I've done my due diligence, and I was like, there's no way in hell. But I'm going to just take what Vegas is telling me. That Washington-Michigan State total, computer models 56.5, opened at 57, now down to 56.5. Vegas is telling me this game gets to 60. Now, I don't know what your numbers say. And again, I suck at totals. I'm telling the world, I suck at totals. This game hits 60, doesn't it?
Numbers say that Washington is the 10th best EPA team in the football right now, 4th on offense and 59th on defense. So look at this. They rank 14th running the football, and they rank 9th at throwing the football, and they're going to face the 71st ranked defense against the run. They're going to rank the 30th defense against the pass. However, they rank 103rd on defense of stopping the run, and Michigan State ranks 94th on offense. So that's kind of an even matchup there. I think, just my 2 cents, I'm probably going to lean Washington here later, and see how my day goes, and see if I'm going to be involved in that one. But it wouldn't surprise me if you got points. At all. I mean, we're showing 33rd ranked for Mississippi or Michigan State, but you got the 4th ranked Washington offense, and I think they're turning things around up there.
Later on in that card, I think the number's baiting you. It was a 13.5 computer model, opened at 13, down to 12.5. A lot of respect on the UTSA side traveling to Texas, who spilled their guts and heart on that game against Bama. Is that number and Vegas telling you, obviously, it's a letdown spot, or are we going to get egg on our face there?
Well, my UTSA shows 69th in EPA. Texas shows 71st. So we're showing 45 on UTSA on offense. And I'm not so sure what you're going to get out of the quarterback position for Texas. I wasn't super impressed with Ewers, but I was impressed with him while he was playing against Alabama. He was doing pretty good. And I know that the backup kid came in and he was the starter before or whatever, so he's pretty familiar with what's going on. They're not going to miss a whole lot there. I don't mind UTSA getting, being there. I don't know what kind of – I know that they put everything they had into that game. I don't think they're going to put everything they have into this game. And if you're UTSA, this might be the game of your calendar year. I'm going to go play Texas. I'm going to go beat Texas. So I don't mind UTSA getting having a slight number there. The other game we haven't talked about, Jeff, is Miami, Florida, and Texas A&M. We didn't touch that one. I'm not betting it. I'm showing Miami as the 17th best EPA team in Texas A&M, 99 right now. Of course, that can change, obviously, because they only played a couple of games, but that'll change. 113 on offense for Texas A&M. So what do you think they should do? Oh, yeah, they put in a new quarterback. So look at that. They got a new quarterback going to start tonight. And he's a highly recruited freshman quarterback. That's who he is. He's a highly touted guy who's going to play. And then when you look at what they're going to face, the number 21 ranked EPA defense. And this is a spot where Miami wants to go and they want to shine and look real good. I don't know if they can. I don't know if this is a bounce back spot because that's what what we look for. And we're like, bounce back spot, emotional roller coaster for these kids. I don't know how to play this game, to be honest. I think Miami's usually overmatched against SEC teams, and Texas A&M is supposed to be one of the best SEC teams there is. Of course, tell Appalachian State that. So, you got Miami, who's going to be better than Appalachian State. And this game's less than a touchdown, right? Is it 6.5 still, or is it up to 7 or something?
Opened at 6, went down as low as 4.5, back to 6, trending to 6.5. This is Jimbo Fisher's. You know how Scott Frost has left the building?
Oh, sure.
Okay. I will tell you this right now. Okay. This was his team. This was the team, not only that they were going to beat Alabama, this was their Final Four team. And as I talked about on the show earlier this morning, there are some experts on game day that picked A&M to win the national title. I will tell you this right now. If he loses today, there'll be alumni guys saying, we're not writing another check till this guy is gone. This is how big of a game. This is his career at A&M. Now, do they win? I think they win today. The question is, do they cover? As you said, it's a 6-point spread with a total of 45. There is a 45.5 at one spot. Initial eye test, is it a 24-21 game? Is it a 27-20 game? Where is this flowing? As you said, A&M struggling on offense. Let me just take a quick look here at their team total today. Let me see what Vegas is telling me here. A&M, Miami. 24.5 versus 19.5. Miami 19.5. So initially they're telling you 24-17. That's what they're telling you. But that 24.5 is baiting everyone to take A&M team total under. So I'll go on record here. How about 27-17 A&M today?
That wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Texas A&M is going to have to play some defense, man. I mean, if you are a SEC team and you want to be dominant and play, you're going to have a Georgia defense and Alabama defense, and I haven't seen that yet from Texas A&M. So we'll see how that game turns out. I think they're going to have the better athletes. I think they'll have the better talent. It just is, are they coached up? Are they not coached up? Are they ready to go? So anyway, yep, that's my thoughts there on that one. And then I didn't play San Diego State and Utah. Utah's a big favorite in that game. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not gonna go in there. Utah, that stupid game against Florida pissed me off.
And this game's usually a tight one. And back in the day, San Diego State actually has picked them off a few times. It's kind of comical. A 48, now a 48.5, give or take either spot.
And a 3-point touchdown, three touchdown spread.
21. And so the team total for San Diego State is 13 and a hook, and Utah right now at 34 and a hook. So again, they're telling you the old 35-13 final there, which will be interesting. As we wrap this up, we won't be talking to you in the morning. Was there any NFL leans you wanted to throw out?
I played Denver -10, so it wouldn't get past the 10. So I played Denver. I really like that spot for them. I think they're in a really good situation here. You're playing against Houston that had all summer to prepare for the first game that they played, and they played pretty well. but you're still looking at a quarterback that's going to be in the lower levels of the league, and you're going to play against a quarterback who's going to be in the top 5 of the league. I mean, that's just the way it is. And now they get him at home, and this is a spot where Denver is very good in the first couple of weeks of the season because they haven't played full quarters except for one game, and then they had the preseason schedule where guys are playing one quarter and then they're out, even if they played that much. So I expect the offenses to be a lot better this week. I expect Denver to be a lot better this week, and I expect Houston to be just worse. And I expect that to be a good spot. A couple spots that I'm going to look into. I like Las Vegas against Arizona. I think that Arizona is a team that is not. I think the head coach isn't going to make it. How about that? I think he's going to, by the end of the season, he won't be there. I think that Detroit and Washington, both teams, Detroit played hard, and I think they're going to play hard for that coach. I think they like that coach. I think Washington showed a little bit, coming back and winning the game that they won, but I don't see much defense here. So I kind of like the over. So I'm looking at that game that way, and I got to see because you gotta balance that because I think that number might have got away already. So we'll have to see. And then the other one that I'm looking at, I like Cleveland. I think Cleveland against the Jets. I mean, the Jets aren't any good. And until they get that other quarterback back, you're going to tell me that Flacco's going to go out there and throw 60 times? I don't think so. I mean, he threw 59 times last week, so that tells you how bad the Jets are. And I think Cleveland, talent-wise, has way better talent. I mean, I get it. It's Jacoby Brissett and all that stuff, but this is a home game for them, and you're not asking them to do that much. I mean, the Jets aren't very good, so I like the idea here that those 4 games are on my radar. One of them I already bet.
All right, full slate. Keep an eye on both of our timelines on Twitter. Myself at EC Sports Invest, Scotty at Webby20MLB. We'll answer any questions. Again, the hard part about putting together a just over an hour show today is we're trying to get you set up throughout the day. For us here at ECSI, we just take it block to block to block. We have one game that we're eyeing at 12 o'clock that we sent out a release. We'll pick through the 3:30, the 4 o'clocks, the 7 o'clocks, and the nightcaps. Again, if we go 3-0 to start the day, to win 3 units on a day is the same thing as going 10-6. I know you action junkies would rather play 16 games, go 10-6, and win your 3 units or 3.5 units. Where if we pick and choose and sift through the madness and get to that 3-0 slate after we're having a 4-1 week, we'll just take our action parlay and tiptoe into Sunday. So reach out to East Coast Sports Investors at gmail.com. That's our email if you have any problems. If you're not following us on YouTube or Twitch, jump on over to East Coast Sports Investors. Hit the subscribe button. It's free. And if you got an extra second, go on over to TikTok. Subscribe, follow us over there. That too is free. So from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Beam 'em Up Scotty at Webby20MLB. We wish everyone a blessed day. Stay in your lanes. Don't get caught up in the quicksand, guys. Listen, if you're getting crushed and you got crushed at the noontime games, that doesn't mean to double or triple down. You don't want to be out of bullets going into Sunday, never mind Monday. We still have 2 weeks left in September. October brings us playoff and World Series baseball. And November brings us the start of college basketball, NBA, and NHL to add to college football and NFL football. So have a day, guys. Tomorrow morning, sometime in the morning, myself and Riley, Southside Riley, will hit you up with the NFL card and we'll get you set up there. So have a day, guys. We will see you tomorrow.